Hey guys, welcome to No Filters, Just Freedom, the show for people who are ready to stop shrinking, start rising, and live with unapologetic audacity. My name is Jasmine, I'm a life coach, and I'm here to guide us all through this journey of bold, authentic living. Hey guys, welcome back to No Filters, Just Freedom, the place where we have no problem discussing the topics we all think about but are sometimes too scared to say out loud. A few days ago on my TikTok, I briefly spoke about important things I was willing to say to you that your friends might be scared to say. The response was great. It seems a lot of you are craving that rare, unfiltered honesty. So now I'm back for round 2 because there is more. There are quieter, subtler, more truths that those who care about you observe but would never ever voice. These aren't about your life choices so much as they're about the stories you tell yourself, the invisible rules you follow, and the tiny prisons you build in your own mind. Because let's be real for a minute. Even the best, most loyal, most ride or die friends in the world hold some stuff back. They see the patterns, behaviors, little or big self-sabotaging things that we do and choose not to say anything. Why? Because they love us. They don't want to hurt our feelings, or they don't want the confrontation. Nobody wants to damage a friendship. So today, I will play the role of the brutally honest friend, the one who loves you enough to not just tell you what you want to hear, but all the things you need to hear. Consider this a gift from me to you, a collection of truths that might sting a little at first, but that ultimately come from a place of wanting you to live a happier, more authentic, and more successful life. So here we go. We are going to just jump right into it. So let's start with the personal stuff, the things that hit really close to home. First up, you are the common denominator in all your problems. Okay, that one I know hurt a little bit. It's so much easier to blame somebody else, your boss, your friends, your jobs, anything else. And sure, the truth is it can be other people's faults. I mean, everything isn't on you. I mean, it takes two to tango. You might only have a piece of the pie, but needless to say, there is still something. There is a piece that you can take on, okay? So if you find yourself in a couple of spirals of bad relationships, difficult jobs, life drama, etc., it's time to look in the mirror. And again, I'm not blaming you. I'm trying to empower you, okay? You hold the power to change those patterns. That's the beauty of this, okay? You are in control of your life. You're not a victim of your life. You're the architect. Okay, you have the full opportunity to change the course and direction that your life takes. You are the main character in your story, not a side character, okay? Life isn't just happening to you. You can live life. You can be an active participant. And so when you think about you being the common denominator to all your problems, you want to think about the fact that you're in all of those problems. And if you are in something, if you have an opportunity to realize that you play a part, therefore you can change your part, it is so freeing. It is empowering. You become grateful for the opportunity to make a change. Because when you're not in control and you have no power and you can't do anything about it, it can be scary. You're just kind of riding along, and whatever consequences you face are other people's choices. But guess what? As an adult, we don't have to do that anymore. And that can be incredibly encouraging, and I want you guys to be encouraged and empowered, okay? Secondly, your potential is not a personality trait. That's like a big deal, okay? Your potential is not a personality trait. You can be full of ideas, but nothing materializes, Hey, I want to build that business. Hey, I want to write this book. Hey, I want to take this trip and document it and do whatever else. Or, hey, I want to start this podcast.
All right. You can be full of ideas, and your friends are going to cheer you on out of love. They're going to be like, yes, you can do it. That sounds like a great idea. Fight for that, X, Y, and Z. But rarely will your friend say that someday is code for never. So when you sit there and are like, man, someday I'm going to write this book. Yeah, but you're never going to write this book if everything is someday. And a lot of friends won't tell you that. A lot of friends won't sit there, like I said, you are the common denominator in your life, and say, hey, you've been saying someday for 5 years. When is today going to be the day? A lot of friends might be scared to tell you that. Your potential is worthless without action, okay? Wasted potential is one of life's greatest tragedies. Like, you have a gift to the world. You have an opportunity to make a difference and to make a change. And if you waste that, the rest of the world doesn't get to see your beauty. The rest of the world doesn't get a chance to grow and change and be affected by what you can bring to the table. Stop talking and take one actionable step, okay? If you're trying to write a book, write the outline. Just write an outline for what you want to say. You don't got to put any words to start it. You don't have to do anything like that, but come up with an idea or a topic and put the topic down, okay? You want to do a podcast? Write down a couple of episodes, okay? Just topics of episodes that you'd want to do, all right? Just basic stuff. Maybe get a mic, because if you buy something, you're more inclined to actually do something and use it. That's just human nature, okay? Needless to say, make the first step, okay? Your future self will thank you, I promise. And this last one is a little delicate, okay? The way you talk about yourself is heartbreaking, all right? Your friends hear you make self-deprecating jokes about yourself, and you do that. I didn't mean to say that because, I can't speak right. I don't speak right. Or, man, I shouldn't have eaten that. My weight, has been off. Ha ha ha. And your friends might give you a weak, oh, stop. But they don't pause the conversation, maybe to say the way you speak about yourself is teaching others how to treat you. And more importantly, it's reinforcing a deeply negative self-image. That funny joke isn't funny. It's a cry for help, but I hear you loud and clear. I'm going to say that again. When you say something self-deprecating, I'm here to tell you that the way you speak about yourself is teaching others how to treat you. And more importantly, it's reinforcing a deeply negative self-image. That funny joke isn't funny. It's a cry for help that I hear loud and clear. Okay? The very thing that you're self-conscious about, you will make a joke about. And it's not funny because you are self-conscious about that. You don't like it. And it's not only drawing attention to that thing, but it's telling other people that they have the right to talk about it and joke with you. And that's not okay. If you don't want people to joke about your weight, if you want to do something about your weight, then do it. You don't have to make a joke about being, large or eating wrong or doing the wrong thing. You don't have to make a comment about, whether or not you feel smart enough about a situation. You don't have to do that. And you don't want the rest of the world to perceive you as someone that isn't smart or doesn't know how to maintain their weight or doesn't know how to eat right or doesn't know how to keep a job or whatever self-deprecating thing you want to think or say about yourself. Okay? The world does not need to think that as well. You need to learn to be kind to yourself. Your friends are kind to you. Why can't you be a friend to yourself? That's what this is all about. How to be a friend to yourself. So don't talk about yourself in a terrible way, because if you do, it's heartbreaking. And that last one leads us into the next group of truths. The narratives that run in the background of your mind. There are plenty of things that are sitting there in the back of our minds, and we keep coming back to them over and over again that we need to change. These are truths, again, that nobody wants to talk about, that are sitting in our heads rent-free. When you use self-care as justification for avoidance, That's a big one. When you don't want to be around or do things or get in touch with something, you're like, oh, I'm having a self-care moment. And your friends see you and might say, okay, well, do what's best for you. Oh, I don't want to go to that party. I'm taking a self-care moment. I can't go to lunch. I'm having an internal self-care day, And there's a difference between healing and hiding. There's a difference between recharging and retreating. Okay? It's one thing to be introverted and not have the emotional or social capacity to do something that day. And again, you have to recharge. But if you're an extrovert and you just don't feel like going, then have the confidence to say you just don't feel like going, and hiding from the people that are asking you or being intimidated or X, Y, and Z. True self-care is sometimes doing the hard thing that is good for you, not always the easy thing that feels good right now. That's a big issue, okay? You can't just do the easy stuff. You don't grow, you don't become the best version of yourself. And again, you're hiding from truths. And that's not okay. You don't want to hide from the realities of life. That is dangerous. And you're giving self-care a bad name. Okay? It's like the boy who cried wolf. Everything is not self-care. Sometimes you just got to suck it up and do what you want to do. And that is self-care as well, because now you're making an opportunity to grow and your future self will thank you. The next brutal one, you need to be perceived as a good person. It is often more important than you actually being one. Okay? I'll say that again. You needing to be perceived as a good person is often more important than you actually being. It's about performative goodness. You put things online, you have the right quotes, you show the world that you're doing something with your friends and just how good of a person you are. And your friends see those positive social media posts, but they also know you as a subtly cruel, and you fail to show up for people that are right in front of you. Like, they see you as one that gossips too much and is not scared to talk about people behind their back, and are too self-absorbed to help those that are quietly asking for help. But you're real good at showing the outside world that, look at me, I have this great sense of everybody else, and I'm good and I'm loving. And you can have a part of that in yourself, but if that is a small piece of you and other things are bigger, then you have a problem. You care more about looking good than you actually do about being good. And that is beyond dangerous, okay? That is beyond wanting to just project good things, okay? Everyone should try to project the best version of themselves. And again, you want to talk about yourself in a great light because you don't want other people to feel confident talking about you in a bad light. But there is a fine line between self-promotion and lies and being delusional, okay? You do not want to say and pretend things about things that aren't true, because you're lying to yourself and you're lying to the world. And if you believe those lies, you'll never change, you'll never grow. And sometimes your friends, that's a real fight. Sometimes your friends are too afraid or nervous to look at you and be like, hey, guess what? You're not actually a good person and you should be better. And I love you, and I also need you to grow in this area. A lot of friends are not comfortable saying that. Okay, they won't always call you out because they could come across as the bad guy. They could be the bad person that's like, hey, you're acting like crap and you're not doing anything about it. Nobody wants to be that person, because the response is not always positive. You might get some flack back. It hurts with whatever retort that you get back because you were trying to be honest with this person. The truth is, authentic integrity is what you do when absolutely nobody is watching. You want to have authentic integrity. You want to be a good and honest person. And if you can do it in your life, it will show up everywhere else. If you're a good person in every aspect of your life, it'll show up on social media. Don't stress about it. Don't stress about it. Like, you'll just be known as a good person and it'll be okay. And lastly, hey, you're lonely because you substitute connection for connection. And I'll explain this real quick. You may have 500 followers and 20 group chats, but you don't call real people to have authentic, messy conversations. Again, this is a social media thing. This is an outside world thing, but internally you're broken and are isolated. And, you think that the electronic connection, the outside world connection somehow makes up for the tangible. And it's not true, okay? You are digitally surrounded, but emotionally isolated. All right, you don't know how to have the authentic close friends, or you have them, but the relationships are very shallow. And you think that those clicks on likes and the shared videos and, the DMs that you focus on or whatever create real relationship. And they don't, okay? A like is not a hug. A heart emoji isn't a conversation. That's not how that works. You're starving yourself out of real connection while feasting on empty calories. That's just the bare bones of the truth, okay? You're not sustaining yourself. You're not feeding yourself. You're not doing the things that your body and mind and emotions need, which is real life connection, love, appreciation. Personally, I could care less, or I couldn't care less about posting a video on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever else, and it only getting 200 likes or 200 views, because I know that my friends may have seen it, they love me, and sometimes they benefit from what I'm putting out there. Okay? I care more about them and their opinion and the ones that I spend time with than I do about what the rest of the world thinks. I want to impact the rest of the world, don't get me wrong, but I don't actually care what the rest of the world thinks. And that's important for me because I have to stay grounded. I have to, have a safe place to land and come home to, because social media is fickle. The outside world can be painful and it can hurt more than life itself. And you don't want to be stuck in that cycle where you care more about them than you do about the people that are really there to function with you. So what's the solution? Have presence and be present with the right people. Presence is not, I post a video every day. Okay? Presence is you look at your friends and you go, hey, I am trying to meet up with you. I'm trying to communicate with you. I'm trying to make some things happen. How can we have lunch? How can we have a long conversation? How can we just text and send, voice notes and voice memos? That's real connection. That's being present with the people you care about. And your friends are craving that. They don't want to tell you that you're not there for them. They don't want to tell you that they miss your presence and you're not there in person for them. But it's the truth. You want to make sure that you are fully engaged with the people that are right there in your life, not just what's out there online. Now, let's get to some broader truths, okay? Your obsession with being busy is a mask for a lack of priorities. That's crazy, okay? Every time you're like, oh, I'm just so busy and I'm doing these things and I'm running around with like a chicken with my head cut off, it's because you haven't prioritized things and you're not following a list of things that's like, okay, today I'm going to do this, today I'm going to do that. And I know that's scary. It's especially scary for me because I'm one of those people that hate lists. But sometimes it's really important because being busy is not a badge of honor. Okay, it is not one of those things where you're like, look at me, look how busy I am, I'm being productive. No, Running yourself ragged with unimportant tasks is often a way to avoid doing the one or two truly important and sometimes difficult things that would move your life forward. Okay? You're avoiding it. You don't want to make that thing the most important thing. Hey, I'd rather, do a million other things than focus on the thing that could actually help my business. Okay? For me, I think about things where I'm like, I've decided to make this podcast, my social media, my blog a priority to push my business forward. I have. But sometimes I don't feel like doing it. Sometimes I get overwhelmed. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood to put in the effort. So what do? I cook, I clean, I play with my kid, I do all these other things, and I end up wasting her 2.5-hour nap time that I could really be getting stuff done. When my parents watch her for the weekend, that is a perfect opportunity for me to get stuff done for my business without neglecting my home things that I really care about. But I can squander that time when I'm not prioritizing what I told myself that I value. Okay? Being busy isn't the same thing as being effective. And you want to be effective in your life. You want to make sure that you're doing the best that you can to make a difference in every aspect of your life. You want to produce something healthy, not just I'm dabbling in a lot of things. Stop, being busy and saying to yourself that you're busy and start being impactful. Okay? Stop being busy and start being impactful. Efficiency creates that. Second, you can't manifest your way out of a situation that you need to work your way out of. Okay? There's not enough meditation. There's not enough yoga. There's not enough, I feel empowered to get it done. Like I said before, potential is not the same thing as putting into action. You sometimes have to work your way out of hard situations. I know it's hard. I know it's painful. I know it's frustrating, but sometimes you got to work your way out of the situation. Okay? Opportunities don't just fall into your lap. Okay? Sometimes you got to put a little effort into them. Now, sometimes you get a blessing and you don't have to work super hard to get what's available. Okay? But you still have to do it. Think about people that end up going viral on social media. Okay? They still had to put in the effort for the video. Now, depending on the video, they might not have had to put in that much effort, but they still had to do it. Okay? Let's say you want to get this raise at work. Okay? Sometimes you got to grind to get there. Sometimes you got to grind to get noticed. Okay? But you got to do the work. Develop a skill, make a plan, and do the grueling, unsexy work. Okay? It's not fun. It doesn't always look pretty, but it's productive and helpful to getting what you want. Wishful thinking isn't strategy. Action is. Okay? You can't just hope and wish and do things on a prayer. You gotta actually create that priority list, add to a skill, do something. And sometimes you don't got to put in a lot of energy. And other times you feel like you're giving everything you got and it's not showing up right away. But I promise the action will allow things to be produced. Okay? And finally, one of the most important things is that life isn't fair. Okay? But just let it go. Life isn't fair. And waiting for it to be fair is a recipe for misery. Okay? Stop complaining, stop whining, stop living your life like woe is me. Okay? And understand that the universe doesn't have a sense of justice. Okay? It's not like trying to balance all the equations. I know we want to think about it like that. I know we prefer to think about the idea that, oh, if I put good things out there, good things will come back to me. I mean, sure, that works in a treat others the way you want to be treated kind of a vibe, but sometimes you're still treated like crap. Good things can happen, or bad things can happen to good people. And sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's painful. Okay? I don't think And, my friends can always correct me if I'm wrong and, maybe I'm delusional, but I don't think that I'm a bad person. I don't think that I'm negatively out there impacting people and screwing them over. I don't believe that about myself. And I say that because I'm trying to figure out how, if I'm not a bad person, why my father and brother are dead on a whim, just on a whim. This was not a long drawn out process. I mean, it was like overnight. Both of them dead. Why did that happen? Why was that a thing? I'm not a bad person. What is that about? I'm not a bad person. Why was my previous engagement one of the most ugly, painful things that ever happened? Now, there's resolution in that, and we're not going to go into that. I could have a whole separate conversation about that. But you're like, why do bad things happen to good people? Life isn't fair. And the truth is, you can only control your response, okay? Resilience isn't about, bouncing back. It's about adapting to the new unfair reality and moving forward anyway. Sometimes you gotta accept circumstances the way they are and keep it pushing. You can't let life tear you down just because it's not fair. You gotta do something about it. You gotta keep living. You gotta keep being productive. You gotta keep working and doing the unsexy work, okay? Stop waiting for permission to live your life. Stop keeping score and start playing a different game. You can lose that game, but pick up a new one, okay? You don't have to just pick up your toys and go home when things don't go your way. No, you could be like, I'm gonna try that again. I'm gonna try a different area. I'm gonna try a different aspect, okay? Now, if this entire episode felt like a series of gut punches, take a deep breath. Remember, I said this comes from a place of love. The reason these truths can be liberating is that once you accept them, you're free from the illusion. You can start working with reality, not against it. So what do we do with all this? How do we become the friend to ourselves that we need? First thing you gotta do is embrace self-awareness, okay? Schedule a weekly audit and ask yourself, am I the common denominator? Have I been being the best version of myself? Am I prioritizing my real needs or just being busy? Okay? Be brutally honest with yourself so that the world doesn't have to be. Because sometimes the world can hurt and have harder repercussions than you can. So just do it for yourself and you won't have to face the wrath of everyone else out there. Secondly, you want to seek real feedback, okay? Find 2 or 3 people and give them explicit permission to be blunt with you, okay? And then listen, don't get defensive, and then thank them. Because sometimes there are things that you can't see about yourself. Sometimes there are things that only an outside party can understand. And you need those people in your life. You need a reality check. It's important to have that. Then you want to practice radically honest self-talk. This is what we mean about the self-sabotaging things, okay? You want to catch the self-deprecating joke and you don't want to blame external factors. The goal is to talk to yourself like you would your best friend, okay? Love yourself, be kind to yourself, have grace for yourself, have patience for yourself. Like I said before, be honest with yourself. Sometimes you gotta, put it out there and be brutally honest and be like, oh man, I gotta change these things. But have healthy self-talk. Talk to yourself like you would your best friend. And then learn to apologize, okay? It's never too late to see a mistake. And those mistakes can strengthen relationships more than you can imagine. Sometimes taking responsibility can be the most healthy thing that you can do. And again, there's an honesty in that. There's an authenticity in that. Don't be afraid to just be like, I'm sorry. You learn more from your mistakes than you do your wins. You just do. The mark of a truly strong friendship isn't the absence of hard conversations. It's the ability to survive them and become closer because of them. Remember, the goal here isn't to make you feel bad. It's to give you the gift of clarity. Your friends might not say these things because they want you to be comfortable. They want you to be happy. They want you to love life. But I'm telling you them because I want you to become stronger. Maybe after listening to this, you'll feel brave enough to have one of those conversations. Or maybe you'll just start by having this conversation with yourself. Either way, these truths aren't shameful, they're sacred. They're the core of the human experience. To acknowledge them is to acknowledge that we all are, every single one of us, just fragile beings trying to figure it all out under the same vast sky. So, thank you for spending time listening to this unfiltered honesty. If this resonated with you, share it with a friend, maybe even the friend who needs to hear it. Or you can share it with the friend you wished would be more honest to you. You might be giving them permission they've been waiting for. So friends, be brave, be kind to yourselves, and maybe just a little bit more honest. Until next time.
Remember, you don't need permission to be great. And this is your call to rise, to reclaim your power, and to step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I believe extraordinary potential lives in all of us. The dreams we've tucked away, the voice that was softened, and the fire that's been waiting to burn bright. This journey isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about shattering expectations and embracing your truest, most unapologetic self. No more shrinking or waiting for permission. The world needs your brilliance, your resilience, and your unique light. It's time to stop asking, am I enough? And start declaring, I am more than enough. Your next chapter begins now. Let's write it with courage, audacity, and unshakable belief in who you are. The unstoppable person isn't born, they're awakened. And that person is you. Now go start your revolution. This world needs your unshaken light today.